for the last couple weeks or last couple times, we've talked about the Flatlanders. Okay, who are the Flatlanders? Here, let me synthesize that. Okay, these are the Flatlanders. We got people anywhere from the Flat Earthers, they're on the right, all the way to the Flat Universers on the upper left. All these people believe in some kind of, they have some problem with pancakes, I guess. They think everything's flat. Then in between, you have people like, the people who talk about dimensions and 2 dimensions, 4 dimensions, all these dimensions, and they make a good salad with that. And also we have the quantum mechanics, the aetherists, and the electric universers. I include them under Flatlanders because they what they propose, their theories, what they propose how the universe works. I think a lot of that belongs all in Flatland. Anyways, today specifically, I'm going to be dealing with the aetherists here. Okay, and the reason is, they raised put a few or put several comments. They raised a lot of questions, and so I want to address a lot of their misconceptions. Okay, so let's start with them. First, Aetherist, right? He says the following. So somehow this channel turned from a really interesting alternative physics channel to a hate-spewing, I know better than all of you channel, which makes it impossible to have a serious constructive discussion on topics that help humanity. Okay, frustrated fellow, okay? Okay, so this is what I got to say to this gentleman, okay? And here it goes. This fellow's a frustrated aetherist because he can't defend his beloved ether, okay? That's what it's all about. That's why instead of addressing substance, he went after form. He says, "Oh, you said poo-poo, Bill. Yeah, if you put more emphasis on form than on substance, I suggest that you go visit Mr. Juanito Baez there at the University of Riverside." And the University of Riverside is partially maintained by the state. In other words, state funds. And why is that important? Well, that means your tax dollars are helping to support its operations. And there you will find, for the last 20 years at least, the crackpot index that Mr. Baez put up there. So it's officially on their website. And it's used to demean, to make fun of, to ridicule anyone who opposes especially quantum mechanics and general relativity. So if you oppose mathematical physics in any way, shape, or form, they will set you straight. And the way they will do it is by laughing at you, by ridiculing you, by calling you a crackpot. Okay, you're a crackpot. They wouldn't even listen to you. Okay, and I like point number 19 in Baez's crackpot index says 10 points for arguing that while the current well-established theory predicts phenomena correctly, it doesn't explain why they occur or fails to provide a mechanism. Yeah, Mr. Baez, that's exactly what physics was supposed to do. All the questions that people ask, for example, in Quora or even in this site, have to do with mechanisms. And these people give the most irrational answer they can think of as far as mechanism and theory are concerned. And here he says, well, it doesn't explain. Well, who cares? They don't believe that's part of their job responsibilities. Okay, they think all they have to do is just describe, not explain mechanisms. So anyways, you're paying for this, for these people to make fun of you. So if you have a gripe against form, don't come to my channel. Go to Mr. Baez's channel. Go to the University of Riverside. Send them a letter and tell them, hey, how come they use that crackpot index to belittle anyone who opposes mathematical physics in any way, shape, or form. Then he says, really interesting, he hasn't understood a single thing, and especially in my criticism of ether, okay? Constructive, the construction part has to do with substance, not with form. So, if you want to be constructive, what you should do is answer the question, what is the ether? And I think I made that quite clear. I'm going to make it again clear today, just in case. Help humanity? Absolutely not. What do I propose here? I'm saying that we are the last humans on Earth, so there is no intention on my part to help humanity. More specifically, we're here to destroy mathematical physics, not to construct anything related to anything that's come out of mathematical physics in the last 400 years. Okay, so let's find out what this site is about. This site is about destroying mathematical physics and every one of their theories, every one of their explanations, physical interpretations, which we dismiss as absolute nonsense, irrationality, poppycock, and replacing it constructively, right, with the rope model. And now you have mechanisms that you can sink your teeth into. You don't have to believe it, but hopefully if you come here, you understand it. That's all. That's our only hope. Okay, we cross our fingers that you will understand it. Okay, here's another aetherist, and he says, "Greetings, bgaede. You're an ignoramus, blah 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 blah." Okay, and I just pointed out that he misspelled your. Okay, they say you're a sad old piece of work. Okay, again, that's twice now that he misspelled your. So I don't know if he can talk about ignorant. Okay. What does he propose? The ether is the medium. Now, I have more respect for people like him, okay, than the previous guy, because this guy's speaking from the heart, okay? And, you can come to this side, you can put any comment you want as far as I'm concerned, you can cuss my mother if you want, okay? I don't really care. If you have something to say, something that's interesting, something that I think deserves attention, to be addressed, then I will address it on the next, lecture. But you can come here and put anything you want. In fact, I encourage you to do so because I know you're speaking from the heart. You're being honest. But when you come in there and you say, well, Bill, you said poo-poo and I got offended, you're in the wrong side, buddy. You're in the wrong field because, you got to think about something. Since the days of the Greeks, one school of thought would laugh and ridicule another school of thought. Nothing has changed in the last 3,000 years. Okay, so if you just found out that, hey, you offended me, first of all, we don't offend. We treat you with the respect that you deserve. But even if we offended you, that's exactly what the establishment does. All of science is like that, and they have different ways of offending you. Quotations on that. One by not publishing you. How's that for offensive? And the other one is, they laugh at you, they belittle you, and you can't get your word out there, okay? That's if you're against the establishment, right? So there's no way to beat that because they have all the funds, they have all the controls of the sources of power, and you're just a little guy, you're nobody. That's the status quo. So yeah, at least let me make fun of them, okay? That's my little revenge against these people. Okay, another fellow says, an ether is here. He says, the ether is not made of particles. It's ubiquitous, continuous fluid. The ether is not composed of anything. Okay, we got a little bit of a problem, or at least we're not understanding exactly what this fellow proposes, because there you see a fluid, and it seems like it's made of parts. Okay, so if it's like he says it's just continuous, whatever he means by that, we say that means made of a single piece if it's not made of parts, right? Then this is what he's got to answer. There's your ether. It's made of a single piece. In this case, I put a block, an elongated cube, no problem. You can put a sphere if you want, put whatever you want in there. You can color it any way you want as well. I'll call that the ether. It's a continuous block made of a single piece. I need to know what the white stuff is. I don't care about the block. I want to know what gives shape to this single piece entity made of a single piece, okay? So unless he can answer that question, he's said nothing so far. Okay, how about another fellow? He says the following. See if we can get him up here. Says, the ether is made of an infinite amount of infinitely small part objects. In other words, the first guy says it's not made of parts. This guy says it is made of parts. And that gives you an idea of where all these aetherists stand. You can't get a single group of people to agree on what the ether is because they've never pondered what the ether is. They just want to use it. They say, well, it's this. Oh, okay, yeah, I understood a lot with that. Okay, so it says the ether fills all of space, nothing. Well, it can't fill space because space is not a container if you're going to define space as nothing. Nothing is not a container. Something is a container. So the ether cannot fill all of space, first of all. Second, you haven't told me whether the ether or space is infinite, meaning extends forever or not, or if it stops somewhere, what's on the outside of it. And we have the same situation as before. You got to tell me what's outside of the block. Waves are not objects, they are motion. Okay, he's right about that, correct. And he says in the case of light waves, it is the motion of the ether. Now I've got a little problem there, okay. He says in the case of light waves, it is the motion of the ether. Okay, so there you have the ether. It's made out of infinite amount of small particles. Okay, that's what he's saying. Apparently he's saying that it's some kind of physical object, therefore it has to have shape. It has to stop somewhere. It's got to be finite, right? Made of infinite particles, but it itself has to be finite unless he can, otherwise it's not a physical object. Okay, it's not a thing. You can't use it as a thing. Okay, so what's the problem with what he's saying here? He says that is the motion of the ether. Okay, so let's start slowly so that you can understand the reasoning. Okay, here we have a table, and we have a portion of the table, and it's waving. Okay, some portion of the table is waving. Can you say that the table is waving? Okay, because these people say the ether is infinite, it's extended, it's the whole universe, it fills up space. The ether is vibrating. The ether, it's the motion of the ether. Well, here we have where the problem is. You can't say that that portion of the table, that region of the table, which is moving there, it could be atoms, could be the crystal structure of the table, could be the wood, could be whatever. But I'm saying there's a region of the table that's vibrating. And so the question is can you say that the table is vibrating? Or should you say that a region of the table, a segment, a part, a portion of the table is vibrating? Okay, so this is the issue. Okay, now here's the ether. Okay, can we say that the whole ether, the whole universe is vibrating? Or is light the vibration, a localized vibration of the ether? In which case, you have light going this way, you have light going that way, and light going in different directions through the ether, or being the ether itself that's vibrating, no problem. But then that means it's made of parts. That's the first one. Okay, it's, like he said, infinite amount of part. No such thing as infinite in science, because he's using the word infinite, which is an adjective to qualify not the particles. He's saying that there's countless. He's saying that's incessant counting of particles. That's what he means by infinite. Infinite can only be an object, and all objects are finite. Therefore, the word infinite is an irrational term, should never be used in science. So these people have not understood how to talk. That's the first problem. They're using adjectives to qualify counting, which is, in this case, turns this adjective into an adverb. Okay. Okay, let me remove this. Give me a second here. Okay, here we have another aetherist along the same lines. He says, yes, if a portion of the ether vibrates, that is still the ether. Okay, same issue. Just as we would say that sound wave is a vibration of the atmosphere when only a part of the atmosphere vibrates. There is no parts and ether. The ether is the parts. Okay, so same issue. Here we have the table. Is the table the same thing as the part of the table? I mean, if we talk about one of the legs and we call it leg, right, of the table, is leg the same thing as table? And this is the issue here. And here we have a portion of the table that is vibrating for whatever reason. Only one portion. It's made out of liquid or whatever. Can we say that the table is vibrating? And once again, can we say that the ether is vibrating here? Is it the whole universe that's vibrating here? So this is the issue. The issue is these people are confusing a portion of something with that something itself, with a whole something. Okay? You're not allowed to do that in physics. You have to identify the region and you have to give it a name. So we can say the ether, and now we have A. A is not ether. A is a portion of the ether, localized region, and you have to identify what it is that's vibrating. You can't say it's the ether vibrating. No, what you have is maybe particles that are going up and down. And if they're particles, which is what they usually imply when they say that's made out of countless parts, right? Then they have to tell me, what gives shape to each one of those parts. In other words, what's the black stuff in this case? The white stuff are the parts. What's the black part that keeps separated all these parts? So until you finish defining exactly what you mean by ether or illustrating it, we have no idea what you mean by ether. Okay, these people want to go through this real quickly, like, yeah, it's a fluid. It doesn't work that way in science. You got to spend 2 years explaining to us or illustrating what the ether is, right? And then we'll listen to your irrelevant theory about gravity or whatever you want to explain. Spend time on your ether. We don't know what the ether is yet. And we have all these different opinions, different versions. Okay, so be very clear. It's very easy to also put a link to either your website or some other website where they have an illustration of the ether if you want to illustrate the ether. No problem. Okay, but what I do recommend is for do an images search in Google and look for the ether. Put ether in there. You'll see what people have in their minds, what they think ether is. You'll find 100 different versions. So Now, nobody has any idea what the ether is. That's why I like to tell them what the ether is. And if they don't like it, they have to tell me why my ether is not their ether, or the traditional ether, the one that was used in the 19th century to talk about the undulation of light. Okay, here we have another fellow. It says ether can be treated like a continuum. At all levels, because it is made of what? An infinite amount of objects. So this fellow thinks that a continuum is simply something that is made of an infinite amount of things. Okay, so I have to define for him what continuous means, because people use these words and they don't even know what they're talking about. Continuous is something made of a single piece. That's what continuous means in physics. I don't care what it means in the religion of math. I don't care what it means in everyday speech. Continuous in physics, made of a single piece. It's an adjective. It refers to an object that is made of a single piece. Okay? Now, what these people want to do is use the word continuum, continuous, continually. They want to use it as perpetual or eternal, as synonyms of these words. It could be perpetual, means that it doesn't stop moving, or eternal, never stops existing. Okay? Like it's, at some point something stops existing, well, or disappears somehow. These people are saying that eternal essentially is never stops existing. And here you have synonyms of these words, more or less: incessant, constant, nonstop. Here we're talking about motion. And they use the word continuous to talk about motion. That's where the problem is. Continuous can never be used for motion. Okay, so this is where the problem is. And then you have endless, like if you're talking about an object, okay, that's an infinite object. And there's no such monster, because an object is that which has shape. Therefore, it's an oxymoron. So self-contradiction to say an endless object or an infinite object. And in the religion of general relativity, they use the term finite but unbounded. And again, the finite part usually refers to the object. All objects are finite. But when they talk about the unbounded, which is an adjective, bounded, it's an adjective. Should be used to, again, it means an object that has no shape, because you can't see the shape. You can't see how it's bounded. Okay? But what they use unbounded for is something totally different. And it's, again, it's used for incessant as a synonym of incessant or perpetual. They're saying that the motion around the object is unbounded. You'll never find a wall. That's what they mean by unbounded. So they try to get this duality through to you, saying it's finite but unbounded universe. No such monster in physics. Okay, they have a contradiction in their terms. They're doing word salad, as it's called, semantics. Okay, so continuums aren't actual objects, but rather mathematical representations of a group of objects. What? Behavior. Okay, so is continuum related to behavior or to objects? Okay, so we have a problem here, because this fellow goes back and forth. He doesn't even know what he's saying. If it's got to do with behavior, then they should not use the word continuum. And then he clarifies, says a continuum is not an actual fluid, because fluids are made of more than one thing. Okay, I thought that's what they define continuum as, something made of many things. Most ether theorists have defined ether as being made of many, possibly infinite amount of particles. Again, all these people use the word infinite when infinite is an adjective, should never be used in science at all. Anytime a person uses the word infinite, we call him an idiot. Idiot is a person with big ideas. Okay. And no, we're not offending them. We're treating him with the respect that he deserves. Okay, here we have another fellow. He says, you're still messing with the usual word salad. Again, he thinks all this is just semantics. Okay, my ether mechanism about fluid dynamics, very rational. So he declares his own theory very rational. Okay, yet you totally reject and mock the ether. Yes, until you do the word salad semantics. Okay, these people want to avoid language, because they're not good at all. They don't define words at all. They don't care about definitions. They say, you know what I mean by ether. No, I don't. And so we need for you to tell us exactly what you mean by ether. And if it's an object, we want you to point to it. We want a drawing. We want a picture, snapshot, whatever you can get, a statue, bring it to the conference. And he says, take the damn time to read. And I answer, take the damn time to listen. Because he says, you still haven't answered the question. Tell me what your ropes are made of. It's already been 2-3 times that I said rope is equal to 2 threads. 2 threads. You go to the hardware store, you ask for a rope. What will they give you? Well, they'll give you maybe, if it's a 2-strand rope, right? They'll give you 2 twined threads, strands, wires, whatever you want, strings, whatever you want to call them. 2 threads, okay? That's what a rope is made out of. If you've never learned that in kindergarten, please go to your nearest hardware store and ask for a 2-strand rope, and you'll find out what a rope is made out of, 2 strands. But this is what these people have to answer, okay? And this is what none of them can do, and they haven't done so far. These are their action items. Is it an object or a concept? And if you don't know the difference, well, you got to go to kindergarten and learn what an object is and what a concept is. Object, just in general terms, is that which has shape. Concept is that which doesn't. That's not the definition of concept, but we need to know if what you're referring to has shape or not, essentially. Concepts we define, objects we illustrate. We do not illustrate concepts. We do not define objects. You do not define table. You point to it so that the Klingon knows what the word table refers to. Okay? Then you got to tell me whether ether is equal to space or ether is not equal to space. Okay, right now we have different opinions out there what the ether is. Okay, whether ether and space are synonyms or whether ether is something contained within space, right? And again, is space equal? Is space finite? In other words, is the ether finite? And if space is the container, we need to know what's containing space, because if space is a container, it's a physical object, like your trash can. That's called a container. And there's something outside of that trash can to give it shape. Okay, we need to know what that outside thing is. That's the one we're interested in. Is it made out of a single piece or made out of particles? Does it have motion, this ether thingy, with respect to what? And again, is it the ether or a region of the ether that you're going to be moving? Okay, and again, here we have the comparison. Okay, if you can't say the table is vibrating, it's a portion of the table that's vibrating. If that's your notion of the ether, we need for you to identify very well what it is that's vibrating. In the case of the ether, what is that squiggly line that's moving, that wave? If you say that the ether is vibrating, you're saying the whole universe is vibrating. That's not what you're referring to. You're saying a region of the ether is vibrating. For that, you need to identify that region. Tell me what it's made out of. What's the white stuff? What's the black stuff? Okay, you need every little thing. You can't just skip and say, well, it's the ether. That doesn't solve our problem. Okay. Okay, and finally we have another fellow. He says the following: space is nothing. That is my definition. I literally said what you said. You just want to disagree for the sake of disagreeing. According to you, something is that which has shape. Yeah? If the something has shape, then the nothing has shape around it. Therefore, nothing is that which has shape. It's a stupid definition. Yeah, I agree with you. What you just said is a stupid definition. You didn't understand squat. Okay, so let's clarify. Here we have something on the upper right, and it's enclosed within nothing, which we call space. This fellow says that nothing has shape. So we want to know, because he says it has shape because it's encapsulating something, not because it itself is being encapsulated by the green stuff. And shape is what's on the outside, not on the inside, but he doesn't understand that, okay? So the issue is that he's got to identify the green stuff that is encapsulating nothing. Just in case, on the bottom, we get rid of the something and the green stuff, and we have only nothing. So he says that nothing has shape. Okay, and I put it as a circle or oval there. Doesn't matter. You can put a cube if you want. I don't care. I need to know what the white stuff that it's encapsulating nothing is. Okay, that's how simple it is. And here's our version of that. Okay, let me get back in here. Something, that which has shape. Okay, synonyms: object, thing, anything, body, structure, entity, medium, etc., etc., etc. Nothing. What is nothing? Nothing that which doesn't have shape. So they're antonyms. Something is the opposite of nothing. Now we can use these words consistently, rationally in physics, physical interpretations, mechanisms, right? Because now we have defined these words unambiguously. Something that which has shape, nothing that which doesn't. Antonyms, no problem. Okay, nothing is the same thing as space. Space and nothing are exactly the same thing. Space is a word we give to nothing. Okay? So space is that which doesn't have shape. You can call it vacuum, void, nothingness, doesn't matter. All these are synonyms. Okay, something, you should be able to point at it in a single frame of the universal movie. There is no motion. Some people say, well, Bill, all objects, have electrons. All electrons are moving. These people are mentally handicapped. That's what they are. We're talking about a single frame of the universal movie. Nothing is moving in a photograph. That's what we have so far in front of us. We have location only. We have distance between objects. Distance and location are both static concept. There is nothing moving in that frame of the film. So even though electrons move every day from one time to another, from one motion to another, from one location to another, that's not what we're talking about. We're saying we're going to have a cross section of time. We're going to cut the universe right there at the cutting edge, which is of events, right? We call that the now, the present, whatever else synonyms you want to put in there. There is no motion in a single frame of the universal movie. Okay, so we have an object there. That's something. It's not moving. Not a single atom, not a single electron is moving there because we have a snapshot. Nothing moves in a snapshot, hopefully, unless you've drank too much beer. Okay, nothing is the one on the right, and there's nothing we can illustrate it with because you cannot illustrate nothing because nothing is that which doesn't have shape. See how simple it was? Okay. Okay, the first law of the universe, something can't morph into nothing, and nothing can't morph into something. There could have been no beginning to the universe, to matter, and there will be no end because hopefully something cannot turn into space. In other words, something cannot suddenly, spontaneously lose length, width, and height and become nothing. Likewise, nothing cannot acquire spontaneously, surreptitiously acquire length, width, and height and become something.